Coach, 2023 season's upon us. Game week against Howard. Opening thoughts on how camp went, and then now turning your attention to the Bison for the first time.
It was a good camp. In some ways, it went really quickly. In some ways, July seems like a long time ago. But really pleased with the mindset, the chemistry of the team. The work ethic has always been really good. So we're excited. I think it's been a good camp.
Coach, do you like the way this team has handled success? After coming off the field in Idaho with a bowl victory, they put a lot of hardware in the trophy. Do you like the way they've handled that and moved forward in preparation for 23?
That's a good question. I think it's the most important question, that I started asking, thinking about, talking about back in January. That had been our nemesis. The end of last season, last year's team, for the first time really ever since I've been here, I should say, we did handle the success well, with then Akron and then Kent and then Central and then San Jose State. So again, I don't think that question's been answered yet. I can tell you that there has been a really healthy and a fair amount of competition on our own team. And so that helps, when you're not just sitting and thinking that you are good or you might be better than you think you are and all of those issues, when you are, battling, even in-house, I think that's helped it some.
Ben Needham takes over as defensive coordinator this year for Neil Nethery. Neil did a great job. Can you talk about the job that Ben's done so far and what you think of your defense headed into this season?
I think he's doing a fantastic job. And, there's a lot of ways that you can look at this. It's, 3 brand new coordinators, but also 3 coordinators who were all in our program last year. And I started, coaching with Coach Needham in the early 2000s. So, we were together at Wabash Drake, and now this is, I think, year 6 for him here at Eastern Michigan. So it is a new role, but we are obviously very familiar with each other and on the same page. I think he's doing an outstanding job.
On the offensive side, it's interesting that Pike played for you and is now your offensive coordinator. Can you talk a little bit about, briefly, what he was like as an athlete and what you think of him as an offensive coordinator?
I think I've known Coach Pike since he was 17 years old. I think it's like half of his life now. And honestly, just looking back, on my career, I don't know, it's awesome. And he's not the only one. I mean, Mike McClanathan, was at Drake as well and is in our program, and Shaq last year. So it's just, I don't know, it's pretty neat. There's a lot of stories I could say about Pike. We had, as my first year at Drake, and we recruited 2 freshman quarterbacks. He was one of them, and I did not think he was going to be the guy. And then he ended up being our 4-year starter and led us to 2 championships. I know we were down in a game late in the 3rd quarter. Went down 24 points, and our offensive line coach, I'll never forget, on the headset, said, that's 3 touchdowns and 3 2-point conversions. And we scored 3 touchdowns and 3 2-point conversions, and I think I called one of the 2-point conversions. Pike called the rest of them, and we won the game. So he and I can finish each other's sentences. We're very different. He is calm, cool, and collect. He does not get rattled, does not get too high, and does not get too low. And I wish I was wired that way, but I'm not. So I think that we work well together and just philosophically see things the same way. I think he's doing an outstanding job.
This is more of a general question about the program, but have you at all taken a step back and thought about the talent that has come through Eastern Michigan? It's been a great year as far as you look at Dylan Drummond, Sidney Sal, Jose Ramirez, Chad Ryland, Taylor Powell, Mike Glass is up at Hamilton. When you look at where this program started when you took over and the type of talent that's coming through Ypsilanti now, what does that mean to you when you see these guys moving on to the next level like that?
Well, I can say that the preseason's been a blast. I mean, it's really, the Twitter comes out from our, Eastern Michigan football account, and it's, wishing these guys luck tonight, and these guys. And so that's been awesome. I'm going to tell you, the first thing that I think of when you say that is the talent, yes, but it is what those coaches and what teammates are saying about our guys is what I honestly, I don't take pride in that, but I do, right? I mean, I just, when Coach Vrabel's talking about how Thomas Odukoye is just the absolute best guy in the world and how well he's doing. It's, and with the D-line coach at Tampa Bay is just talking about, Pat O'Connor and, his work ethic and how into it he is and how he just, continues to fight and provide value. You talk about Dylan Drummond, right? And how he just mental errors just don't happen and how he's wired right and how, of course, how productive he's being. But we talk about Max. I mean, people talk about Max 24/7, all over the world. But, you talk about the one interview, just how he's obsessed with being his best, right? It just goes, it goes on and on and on. And that gets me fired up. It really does. And coaches at whatever level care about those things. You want guys that you can trust and can count on and who are wired right in our team, centered guys. And I just think that there's been a lot of talk about, their character and how they're wired. And then heck yeah, they're talented. And there's a lot of guys out there. You mentioned the CFL as well. Taylor and Mike Glass on the same team with Carthel as well. And Chad Ryland banging kickoffs off of goalposts, and it's awesome.
Last question for me, Coach. This Howard team, as you look at them on tape and you get ready to face them in week one, what does this Howard team bring to the table? What kind of challenge is this going to be for your program?
Yeah, week one is scary and a challenge, sort of no matter what. You have 9 months. You don't really know what the other program, has been doing, the recruiting and the scheme and all of those things. These guys are really good. They're really well coached, and they've got a lot back. I think you start with their offense. You got a fifth-year senior all-conference quarterback coming back. 3 all-conference offensive linemen coming back, 3 all-conference running backs coming back. I think their most productive wide receiver is gone, but then 2, 3, and 4 are all coming back. So that keeps you up and is absolutely, something that we're concerned about and need to be ready for. And then defensively, we think their best players on the defensive line, and then the best group defensively is their secondary. And again, very well coached, and they know what they're doing, and they play really hard. Yeah, I mean, they have had our full attention for a long time. And in camp, it's always internal, at least for the first part of camp, just getting, ourselves right and focusing on ourselves. And then, we ended up turning to Howard, as early as I ever have. And we know it's going to be a huge battle.
Alex?
Coach, I saw on Twitter Carter Evans tweet out he's going to be missing the year with an ACL tear and meniscus injury as well. On the 2 deep, I'm reading a couple guys are coming back that missed all or most of last year, Mikey Haney and Alex Merritt. So lots of movements on the injury front for the defensive line. I'm just kind of wondering what's the impact that you're seeing or expecting out of losing Evans and then bringing those 2 guys back?
Yeah, it's just, gosh, I mean, you love this game, and then there's times where you hate it. And the love is just a little bit more than the hate because the game is really, really mean. Carter Evans has worked so hard, for this season, and is such an integral part of our team, and is such a good person and player. And yeah, he's going to be missing the season. And the way that he has responded has been, again, I often just think about myself, and that, I could not have handled it as well as he is. And there's guys who've gone before him that have done it, and he's seen that, and he knows that there's light at the end of the tunnel and all that, but that it's a long process. So, we're, definitely down about that, and then are kind of slowly getting into the just encouraging, mode, as he's got a long road ahead. And so, like you said, we've lost some guys, previously who are now, back in the fold. I'd put a Brock Roman into that group. So yeah, you're really excited, for those guys to have overcome that. And as hard as it is to go through so much of the time, when you respond the right way, you're not glad that it happened, but in some ways it's once you get through it, you've grown so much in so many different ways, right? There is a part of you that knows that you are farther along in life than you would have been. And I think, all three of those guys would tell you that, that they responded the right way, and that they're better for it.
Looking at how your team is going through camp now versus how your team looked through camp last year, does this year's team kind of compare, like, other spots of this team where it's like stronger than it was last year? Other parts of the team where it needs to, like, improve to where it was last year? What's your kind of read on that comparing this year to last year?
Yeah, I haven't really thought through that, going back and comparing camps. I think this team's very different. Very different. I think that there's always an ebb and flow in terms of the experience, returning at different position groups and whatnot. And I think that's the case, again this year. But yeah, no, I think this team has its own, personality, and I think some of that personality and some of that identity kind of remains to be seen, and is going to have to be played out here early in the season. I think there's a healthy confidence. I talked about the battles and the position battles, just even within the team. I think people have been playing at a high level. There's a healthy confidence, and at the same time, we know that we've graduated some really good players, and it just has a new team feel to it.
For the Howard game that's coming up, we already you referenced the team and how many returning productive players it's going to be returning on both sides of the ball. The coaches too. It's got a new OC, but the head coach has been there for 4 years. It's mostly his system. Defensive coordinator has been there the same amount of time. It's his system there. What are you kind of expecting to see out of Howard's coaching staff that can, isn't bringing in a new team? This is their team that, they should be running at the speed that they want. What are you expecting to see out of the coaching staff?
Yeah, so in a first game, right, there's a positive way of looking at both sides of that, and then potentially not a negative, but a challenge to it, right? So when, we have new coordinators, right? And so you don't have necessarily the consistency and the continuity, although I think that we do have some of that because people were in the program. But when you have new people, and in the first game, right, so people don't know what you're doing. It's hard to prepare for that, right? And when you have people back, you want that consistency, you want that continuity. You might be able to prepare for those guys in a first game, a little bit better, but then you always go back. We had this conversation twice as a staff. It's been 9 months or whatever it's been, and in a first game, you always have to be ready, for the unexpected. And that doesn't mean that you chase ghosts and you try to prepare for everything, but you have to be prepared for something to go differently than what we had anticipated, and have a plan for how we're going to deal with that. And so I think that, goes in with the, the first game, and then they're a good program, and they have been for a long time, and they're good coaches, and especially in kind of, today's world. I think consistency and continuity is a huge piece to success, and they found that.
My last, are there any like new players that have entered this team who have kind of come in and earned their right to get some serious playing time this year through their summer camp performances?
Heck yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean you'll see him on Friday night, and in all the games after that. But like, yeah, I think that there's going to be new faces that certainly will be playing, meaningful and impactful minutes for us.
Lucky enough to be joined by a senior linebacker who a year ago was just transferring into your program. How have you seen Joe's development since his arrival and change, and now has earned himself an ability to be a captain on this club?
Yeah, I love Joe Sparacio. I love everything about him. And honestly, I don't think that there has been a lot of change. He came in January before last season, which I think is important to note, and immediately fit our program. We recruited him in high school, ended up going up to Boston College, and he made, I don't know what you're going to ask him, but I'm just saying it was an immediate deal when he got here. I mean, we loved him, always had, and I think he felt good about, being in the program. He is everything that you want in a football player and a linebacker. He's so athletic. He's so fast, and he's just got his DNA. He's just physical and aggressive, and again, I'm serious. He's a great human being. So we love him, and the fact that he got voted captain was not a surprise. But he is who he is. I think people have obviously gotten to know him more, and then he was so productive this last season that wasn't a surprise at all that he was voted captain, and we'll be relying on him heavily this season to lead this team.
All you, sir.
All right, Joe. Yeah, man.
Coach.
Yep. Thank you for coming.
Let's go. Joe, kind of the first question for me is the same I had for Coach. How do you feel this team has handled the success in the offseason? You guys had a tremendous year. It's one of the best years this university's seen since 1987. How do you not become complacent and build off that this season?
Yeah, I mean, like Coach said, it's really to be determined. We still have a long road ahead of us this season, but I'd say last year, you guys and other people might say it was a big success, and it was, but we're chasing new things. Our theme this year is the 132 standard. We're going to set a new standard that this program hasn't done in a really long time. And, bowl games are great, and bowl game wins are even better, but we're chasing the MAC, and that's something that's been started since January. That's just been our focus throughout the whole offseason, summer, even camp. Taking it day by day, but we want to do something bigger than last year. So, yeah.
How has the defense responded to Ben Needham in his new role as defensive coordinator?
It's been awesome. Everyone loves Coach Needham. I mean, he's an awesome guy. Just a great coach, great teacher. And he was on the staff last year, like Coach said. He's been here for longer than me and most guys on the team. But it's always an easy transition. It's him, being a familiar face, but the new things that he's brought in scheme-wise, some other coaches he brought along, has been really, really good. And like I said, I couldn't ask for a better coach personally, a better coordinator, somebody that I trust, somebody that the defense trusts and the whole team trusts, and it's just been really, really good.
Has he laid out any particular goals for this defense, either on a game or season basis, that he'd like to see you guys hit?
I wouldn't say anything new, really. Our team goal is our team goal, but defense, something that we've really been emphasizing this camp especially is the ball, taking the ball away as much as we can, whether that's picks, forced fumbles, sacks, anything like that. The ball is everything in football, obviously, and defensively our job is to take that away, however that may be. But no, I mean, we haven't really set like number of goals, like this many yards, this many passing yards, whatever. Obviously, the goal of the defense is to stop them from scoring, obviously, and the goal of the offense is to score more points than the other team. But yeah, our main focus is getting the ball any way possible.
Joe, what are your thoughts on this Howard offense?
They're very talented, very talented. Like Coach Creighton said, a lot of guys coming back, a lot of all-conference guys, and they're going to be a really good challenge for us. As our new scheme and everything going into that, it's going to be a challenge. They got a lot of talent up front, a lot of guys coming back, really good quarterback, good running backs, good receivers. They're talented, and we're aware of that. And but we'll be ready. Yeah.
Final question for me, Joe. As you get older and more mature as an athlete, sometimes in the off season, you'll tweak something or do something differently to help get yourself ready for the next season. Anything change for you in this off season as far as how you prepared?
I mean, me personally, it's been kind of the same since I've been in college. As I've gotten older, I've realized that I need to take care of my body more off the field, whether that's my diet, eating the right things, drinking enough water, all that stuff. Our strength coaches do a really good job and have done a really good job since January of pushing us really hard. This summer was really good for our team and just really pushing us hard in the weight room. But I wouldn't say I really tweaked anything myself, just higher emphasis on getting my body in the best shape and best health I can be in going into this season. So.
You in the best shape of your life?
Yeah, I believe so.
Earlier in the summer, one ex Crosby, not that you didn't already know, like a few guys that you played with and went into the NFL and saw how they worked in real time. Mm-hmm. But then you met Max Crosby, who came in here and visited you guys. What was that experience like, and what kind of takeaways did you learn from being able to meet him?
It was really, really cool. It was a shock to us. We didn't know he was coming, so it was kind of a surprise. But I'm telling you, when he talked, everybody was on the edge of their seat, paying attention. At least I was. Something that stood out to me was just his obsession with football and everything that comes with it. Obviously, he's gifted. He's got tremendous talents, but he takes everything so serious. Like I've never seen a guy be so obsessed and just like everything he does. Like I was talking to somebody about him, and everything he eats is drawn out and is planned. Everything he does is revolving around football. And, he's gotten to a place now where his life is football. That's his whole job, and that's everything he does. But just his obsession with all of it and his crazy work ethic. Like he was telling us stories about his off-season training and running with the skill and beating them and just having that mindset of whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to be the best at it no matter what. And, he's obviously got talent, but that side of him is what makes him great. And it was really cool to see and hear his story and how when he was here and things he went through here and then now where he is, and that never changed, and it was really cool to see.
In terms of like self-scouting for yourself, I'm sure you watched watched how you performed last year, and you took some notes of like what you did right that you liked and what some things that you could have improved on. Yeah. What are some things that you did do well for yourself last year, and what are some things that you tried to improve over the past few weeks in the camp?
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be stuff to improve. I don't think there'll ever be a time when I think I've arrived at all. Last year, in years past, I just always have tried to play the game as fast as possible, and that's something that I've always, held myself to a standard of playing as hard as I can and as fast as I can. And that's something that I've worked on this offseason is my speed. Obviously playing physical is something that I do as well, but really just being fast and being under control and having complete control of my body while I'm moving that fast is something that I've tried to really hone in on this year compared to last year. I mean, last year, it was a good season and whatnot, but I mean, I'm better. I'm going to be better this year than last year for sure.
And this year you're also going to be a captain too. What's it like to just be a part of that? Be a captain where like at Eastern it's not just annual thing. Like it actually means a lot. Here
Yeah.
to be a captain. What's it like for you?
It was a huge honor. It's one of the highest honors I've had playing college football, if not the highest. And it's a great team to lead. I love this team. I love everybody. I love all the coaches. It's a really fun team to be around, fun team to play with, and it's an honor to be a guy that is recognized as a leader by my peers. It's really been cool this offseason to be at the kind of front of it, and leading some guys and getting everybody together for this great season we have ahead of us. So it's been really awesome.